Model T maintenance. After you drain the oil, remove the oil drain plug and remove all of the material that is on the magnet. Then you got to remove those two caps and put grease in there and screw the cap back down. Then you need to remove this cover, which is the transmission cover. 6 screws. Be careful never to drop those down in there or you're screwed. You got to get the screw out, take the whole cover off, and it's a mess. So don't drop the screws. So you put those into a cup, which I have down on the floor, and then we'll continue. In order to service the transmission and take the small cover off, you have to remove the floorboards. There's 4 floorboards with 3 pieces to it. First you take out the mat, then the 3 floorboards, and then you can see through to the bottom. Once you remove the transmission small cover, then this Model T has an accessory, which is a screen, and there's a magnet. If you can see the magnet there in the center. So basically there's 2 gaskets. There's one for the cover and one underneath this accessory oil catcher. So you have to just lift that out carefully, take it outside, clean off the magnet, all the little metal pieces on the magnet, blow it out with compressed air, and then put it back together. This is the inside of the transmission with the cover removed. As you can see, you have your 3 pedals coming through there, the shafts with the springs. And after you put your oil drain plug back in, pour 3 quarts of oil through this opening onto the bands, and then the 4th quart you pour into the engine oil entry compartment. This is the accessory removed and the cover removed. This is the oil drain plug, and as you can see there's a small magnet in there, and when you take this out and the oil drains, that magnet will be completely full of metal shavings just from normal wear and tear. This is the bottom of the transmission. It's hard to see it, but the oil drain plug goes right in the bottom, and all you do is snug it up. You don't crank on that oil drain plug. Just snug it up with your wrench, and that's it. Alright, this is going to be kind of hard to see, but basically after you put your drain plug back in, you pour the oil directly onto everything you can reach in there. That gets directly onto the bands, which lubricates the bands really well. And I'm using 30 weight oil today, so you can use 10W30 or 30 weight, but 4 quarts. Okay, I have all the oil, 3 quarts in there. So put 3 quarts into your transmission directly on the bands, then walk around to the engine, remove the oil drain plug, or I'm sorry, the oil inlet plug. And by the way, the oil drain plug does take a 15/16 wrench, box end. So that's where you pour your oil. Alright, so all I do is take a funnel, stick that into the oil inlet on the engine, pick up my oil, which is right here, and it's hard to do this when you're videotaping, but basically pour that oil into the engine, the last quart. And whatever you do, change the oil every single year, whether you even run the Model T or not. Change the oil every single year, because that oil over time will lose its viscosity, and it just better to just change it once a year. Okay, once you're done, take out the funnel, being careful not to drip, and I just put it right into my empty container that I'll pour the old oil into. Then grab the breather cap, which is really what that's called, and just set that right back in there. It does kind of fit snugly. Basically, that's it. You're done with your oil change. Well, I said you were done on that last video, but I forgot you have to put back in this accessory with the clean magnet, blown out air holes, oil holes, so that they're totally clean. And then I'm going to put the cover on with the extra gasket and put the 6 screws in, which are right in here, and that'll be it. Okay, one other thing I failed to mention, and that is that those screws with the extra gasket are pretty short, so hand thread those in so you don't strip them, and then when you tighten them in an opposite pattern. So opposite, 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 and then side to side. And do a little bit at a time when you tighten them up. That way the gasket won't leak. One more thing, when you put your floorboards back in, this one goes first, although it's opposite from the way I'm going to install it. Then this one, then this one. These are original 1924 boards that came installed at the factory. So you basically lift this thing up. When you bring it inside, put it over the handbrake, and it's pretty hard to do this one-handed, but basically this is the way it goes in. Shove that down, take your next piece, this one will go in by the pedals, and then it loops back down through. Make sure it's fastened on both sides, and the final piece goes in over the top like that, and it has to kind of go in here. You may have to raise that other board up a little bit, but there it is. Now it's in there tight, and that's what it looks like before you put in your rubber cover. One final thought on the oil change, and that is, before you change your oil, line up your 4 quarts of oil so you know you have your 4 quarts and you're not going to skip one. Then after you're done, line them up, make sure that each one is empty, and then you know you've got your 4 quarts in the engine. And one final note on charging the battery. This is the battery charger that we swear by. It's called a Save-A battery, and boy does it ever work well. It revitalizes your battery on anything.